My name is Dr. Cameron Sheikh. I'm the MD for Morgan Reed Chartered Accountants in the UK, and I'm also the president of Adam Global Europe. Today, we're going to discuss an essential topic that is revolutionizing the accounting industry. And the topic is cloud accounting benefits, risks, and implementation strategies. We'll explore, as the name suggests, the potential benefits, the risks that are associated with using cloud and cloud accounting, and the strategies for effective implementation of an accounting platform which is in the cloud. Now, before we start, because we've got a really good group today, I'm going to keep it nice and snappy to make sure that we get through a lot of stuff quickly. And if anybody's got any questions, they can then raise it in the end, and I'll be more than happy to take those questions. There might be some specific questions about maybe specific software, maybe about specific functionality that might be available in the cloud or not, or it may just be a case of we don't use a cloud accounting software at the moment in time, and what will be the suggestions for whichever region you're based in. So we're going to keep it quite informal. We're going to keep it together, and we'll sort it from there. So starting off with the benefits. Now, a lot of people ask me the question, what is the cloud? And then comes the cloud accounting. What is the cloud? I think it's a good question to ask for to start off with. It's not the cloud as we know normally in our life when you look up to the skies and there's a cloud. Cloud is slightly different to that. A cloud in reality is anything whereby we connect to a device somewhere in either a remote server or a data center through the internet. And we connect with these devices through several methodologies. We could connect to them using your smartphones. You can connect with them using your laptops, your iPads, Android phones, and all sorts. So any device that you may have, you can connect using the internet to the cloud. And a lot of people will go, well, I don't use the cloud, when I ask the question with some of the clients who are using traditional accounting solutions for software. And I asked a simple question, do you have a Hotmail or a Gmail account? And most times than not, the answer is, oh, yeah, I have a Hotmail account. I have a Gmail account. Go, fantastic. So if you have a Gmail account, that means you're using cloud already, because don't forget, all of your data is hosted on the Gmails or the Microsoft servers when it comes to Hotmail and Gmail. So most people are already using and utilizing the cloud in their day-to-day lives when they're using their smartphones or iPads or laptops and other devices to access this. And other common things that are in the cloud, you've got Skype, which is in the cloud, you've got Dropbox, you've got Yahoo, and you've got all of the apps that are available for Microsoft. These are all in the cloud. So that's where we start off with the cloud. Now, to the question at hand today, what is cloud accounting? Cloud accounting, as we said, is quite simply an accounting software that is hosted on remote servers somewhere in the region that you want it to be. So if you're in the UK, you want the servers to be in the UK, or the platform which hosts the servers in the UK. If you're in the US, you want it in the US because of the various GDPR regulations that are at hand. The cloud accounting offers a modern, versatile and more efficient approach to traditional bookkeeping. Traditional bookkeeping being the most popular software that we've used in our lifetime is Sage. And a lot of people would be using Sage Line 50, Sage Line 100, which are all desktop based. Whereas the cloud softwares, which are now quite common nowadays, the popular ones are QuickBooks Online, you've got Xero, you've got Cashflow, and now as one of the competitors, Sage has also gone online with their product, Sage One, and the other products that they offer to the market. So these are the conventional cloud accounting softwares available to us. Moving swiftly to the benefits of cloud accounting. Why should I move my trusty accounting software on my server, on my desktop, on my PC, in my offices to something that's in the cloud? And that's a very important question people should ask. Why should they change? Change being the single factor that stops any development, growth, or strategic implementation in the transition of a company from a traditional view to a modern view. So the question is, why should I move from a traditional accounting-based, desktop-based software to a cloud software. And what's the benefits for it? The first benefit, and one of the more important benefits, is accessibility. When you have, and we'll use the example of Sage Line 50 as a desktop software, because that was the most popular one, along with QuickBooks Desktop in the days gone by. So if we have QuickBooks Desktop, or if we have Sage Desktop, or let's call it accounting desktop software, you would have either that installed on a singular PC, where your accountant would come in on a regular basis, they'd log in and they'd use it to produce invoices, input receipts, do bank reconciliation, maybe do some stock management, and then do the reports for you in terms of you producing weekly pay runs or use reports for credit control. That being on one PC or that being on one server, you have the restriction of accessibility. You have one username and password, and that username and password was usually shared amongst several users who were using the software on and off on a daily basis or a weekly basis. With a cloud accounting software, it works very, very differently. Accessibility being a really high up importance as far as I'm concerned. Why is that? When you had one username and password and you shared it amongst 3 or 4 people that were using the software, you did not know who inputted what information, what data was extracted, what data was inputted, and what changes were made in the software by an individual user, because the username was exactly the same and the login credentials were the same. Whereas in the more robust cloud accounting softwares, you can have several users. With several users, the accessibility could be one user could be sitting in the US with Mark, one could be in Cyprus with Andreas, one could be in Dubai with Fahd. And all 3 users could be using the same software real time with their own unique login details, which means anything that they do, not only can they access it from anywhere in the world, and don't forget, they can access it from any device. They can access it from the smartphones, or they can access it from a tablet or a laptop, which means now not only do they not have to be in the location where the software is installed, they can access it from several locations. They can access it at the same time, and the software records the transactions that are undertaken by each and every user uniquely. Not only that, the data now is in real time. As soon as the data is inputted by Fahd, Mark, Andreas, and myself, the data would show in the system straight away. Efficiency. How do we manage efficiency? And what's the benefit in the efficiency? So the cloud accounting software, they can automate tedious tasks such as bookkeeping, data entry, invoice generation, etc. It helps to eliminate a lot of the manual processes, and it can save a lot of time when it comes to reducing human error. It saves on that, and it also focuses more on strategic tasks, and the users can focus on that. With regards to this, generally speaking, you would go into the system and you would either extract a CSV file from your bank feeds and import it into a desktop accounting software. With the cloud accounting software, they've got the ability to link in directly to your bank via a bank link, which is generated by most banks nowadays, which means all the data, whether you're using the software or not using the software, is online, and it imports the data on a regular basis into the cloud accounting software. So when you come in the following morning after you switch off your PC, and all the transactions that have happened since you were not working on the software, they will now be available, increasing your efficiency, saving you time from going into a bank or waiting for a manager or a partner to give you the bank download for you to import, for you to process. Just one of the bits in the efficiencies. The other efficiencies that you can have is auto generation of invoicing and allocation. You can have recurring invoices which could be generated from the system, which could be sent across for people who've got either in arrears contracts or an annual contract which is billed on a regular monthly basis. You can also look at expense management using the software, whereas previously you would have a receipt come in, and that receipt would be handed across to the relevant manager by the data inputter or the the clerk. They would then approve it. It will go to a partner for payment for approval. Using cloud accounting software, you can have an app stack, you can have other software, which would link in very nicely to the cloud accounting software. And you can have an online process where sitting from anywhere, and even if you're on holiday, you could look at the expenses that have been brought in for you to be able to approve. And once approved, they can get paid on time, creating a lot of efficiency internally. And the beauty of you having accessibility, again, from anywhere, reduces the chance of delays, again, increasing efficiency and increasing collaboration. Collaboration being the next point. When we talk about collaboration, who are we collaborating with? And this is what a lot of people misconstrue as collaboration with internal parties. Collaboration could be internal or external. In terms of the expense management we spoke about, you've collaborated between the clerk, the manager, and the owner in terms of an expense which needs to be approved and paid. And it was all done online without a physical piece of paper being pushed around the office or waiting for somebody to come off annual leave for them to approve it, or to be in the same room for them to be able to approve it. The ease of collaboration it offers with multiple users is fantastic, as we discussed earlier, and it has a lot of productivity gains that you can have by using different app stacks that are available in the market. With collaboration, you can collaborate with your accountants, you can collaborate with financial advisors, you can collaborate with your banks by giving them access. In terms of the accountants, if you're looking at your year-end numbers, you're looking at your year-end figures, and you're looking to find out tax planning opportunities, how you can save tax. If you're looking at what your business has done and you want to set up a strategic planning exercise, you can work with your financial advisors with the data that's online in real time and make changes in real time and make decisions on real time. And you can deal with your accountants online. So they don't have to wait for you to, as in the old days, create a USB drive, back up the data on it, and get somebody to ferry across to your offices to the accountants. The accountants then uploading the data into their system collaboratively, and then using that data to produce reports for them to discuss as year-end. By doing it online, not only do you save a lot of time in the running around, also when the data is real time, the version that you have that you're working on as the accountants or the client is always the real-time version, which means you could use that to the benefit of creating any strategy. You can use it to look at your forecast. You can compare your budgeted data. You can look at your strategic implementation because it's all live and it's working along with all the partners that you have. Banks particularly love it. In the UK, HMRC are pretty happy with this because a lot of times HMRC would request data from a customer to say we need backup for a once-off better investigation for VAT. Now you can provide a user access to HMRC who can then go into the detailed reports that are available in the cloud accounting software, hence picking up the lines of data that's there and look at what they need to investigate. With the expense management in collaboration and the efficiency, one of the things you can do is with the cloud accounting software, you can upload your receipts and you can attach them to the particular transaction that have been claimed as an expense. For example, you've gone out and you've bought a piece of software. Now that piece of software comes with an invoice. Traditionally, in a desktop-based accounting software, you would have just inputted that data and kept that receipt somewhere in a folder, neatly and nicely in a date and a name order for it to be looked at if the auditors or the accountants wanted to review it, including the HMRC. The benefit of cloud accounting software is you can now upload these receipts and they would be attached to that particular transaction in the cloud accounting software. And if anybody needed to review that particular receipt, they don't have to go to look for that folder physically, and they could from anywhere in the world click on that particular transaction, click on the attachment, and that receipt is available to them real time. One of the things in terms of the efficiency, accessibility, and collaboration that a lot of people miss out on is when the data is on a server, you should be backing that server up. You should be looking at, is my data backed up on a regular basis? And a lot of times they're not. The desktop cloud accounting software, once you'd process something, you would extract the latest version of it and you'd save it somewhere on the servers or on that particular desktop, thinking that it's all saved up. But if that desktop data was corrupted, or if the server went down and the backup was not done, then you'd be in a bit of a pickle, because the software that you've updated with the data that you've updated, you'd lose all of that time. Whereas cloud is real time. There is no need for you to back it up because it's already backed up real time as you go along. Within that backing it up, don't forget, when you're looking at a server or a desktop in terms of efficiency, and you're looking at annual changes of software, you're looking at more data required for a server, for storage, you're looking at new softwares coming in, for example, a newer version of Windows, a newer version of that particular software, you're consistently updating, you're spending time with your IT guys, updating the software itself, updating the operating system on your PCs and servers. Whereas for cloud accounting, none of that's required. All you've got to do is have a link, you go into, put in your username, you put in your password, and you're straight up and running. Again, with regards to efficiencies and collaboration, we can go into much more details in terms of how the software helps with stock management, how it helps with debtor control, how it management with credit control, with expense management, and how you can set up trigger points within the software if it gives you a warning, if your cash flow is a certain limit, if your VAT amount is going to be over a certain amount, etc., etc. So it's quite a lot that the software can do. And with the technology that's growing at a rapid pace, a lot of functionality is being introduced on a regular basis. We've talked a lot about benefits. I think it's only fair that we now start talking about the risks of cloud accounting. And to be fair, there are some that we have to be aware of, which are not business critical to be a showstopper for you not to go for cloud accounting, but these are good to know as a holistic approach. Data security is one of the major risks a lot of times when people are looking at cloud software. This is also a risk that's available, that is something that you are exposed to when you're looking at your own PC or a server. But data security is an issue because data is stored in a cloud server somewhere off-site in a data center, and it is vulnerable to hacking. So is cyber attacks. If the appropriate security measures are not put in place, then there is a huge risk that your data could be lost. And that's a big problem in the UK, particularly, where GDPR dictates that if your data is hacked and if the data is lost, that you'll be fined and penalized for that. Now, dare I say, when a small business is looking at their data security and them having to pay for services for protection against cyber attacks, it is quite expensive. With using cloud accounting, you're paying a monthly subscription fee. You're not paying extortionate costs. It's a software as a service, or SaaS, as you've bought as a service. You pay a monthly fee, and in that fee, the providers like QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, Cashflow, they would provide that protection against hacking. They would provide that protection against cyber attacks, and to ensure that your data security is not compromised. Keeping in mind that these companies are holding data in security for hundreds of thousands of small businesses and large businesses. Another drawback, and one that was a massive drawback in the days gone by, but not probably as much as it is now, is internet connection. Internet connections used to be quite poor. I remember the days, and this is showing my age now, when we had dial-up connection. I'd go in there and I'd collect a connection, and after about 5 minutes, I'd go online. And God forbid, if anybody picked up the phone, that connection would be lost. I can see a lot of youngsters in the room, so you probably do not remember those days of dial-up. But now we previously, up to about 10 years ago, a lot of the areas in the UK would have 10 or 15 megabytes accessibility. But with the advent of fiber internet or fiber optics, the speeds have gone up to 300 megabytes per second. So internet connection is a major factor in accessing your data in the cloud. However, with the connectivity and the accessibility now available online, it's less of a risk. If your internet does go down, I believe it is up within a couple of hours in most circumstances. So the risk of you not being able to work is pretty minimal because efficiencies are more about a 98% uptime at the moment in time. Software limitations, like all things are not made the same. One of the limitations or one of the disadvantages or risks of cloud accounting is the limitation of software. Now, all software providers are providing similar sort of service. So if you compare the major bookkeeping cloud accounting softwares, you'll see they all do pretty much the same as every other company. However, some softwares might have some limitation in terms of, for example, one bit of software might do CIS submissions very well, whereas another one might do stock control very well. So that's one of the limitations or risks of cloud accounting, because it is limited to the ability of the developers who've created that software and they've provided it to the small businesses. When they look at this one, they'll go, right, well, this software provides more data connectivity, provides better stock management. This one provides more CIS. And it might be something you'd have to consider. Maybe you do use a module, or maybe use another app which links in to your chosen cloud accounting software, which would have the same functionality, which would help you get to the endpoint you want to look at. And the limitation that that particular software has is mitigated. Or a lot of times people look at workarounds. If they can't do it as easy as is able to be done in the one software, maybe they find a workaround where they can do it, some of the bits manually and some of the bits online, but that's not ideal in any scenario altogether. We've talked about benefits. We've spoken about risks. Implementation is key, because we can talk about it all day, how good or bad a certain product is, but if we don't look at whether it's something that we can implement, should implement, or are able to train our staff in, then there is not much value in there. So when we look at implementation, we look at what we really require. There's a want and a need. I think we should start with a need. A lot of people say, I want, and that's a good way to start. But then you should look at, what do I need for my business? And then once you've got the basics right, you look at, what do I want? So evaluating your needs is very important. So in your business, identify the needs before choosing the relevant cloud accounting software, looking at what their strengths are, look at what their weaknesses are. What does your business need on a day-to-day basis that you use, and which software is the best fit for your business? Do look at things like industry-specific software. For example, if you're a motor trader and you're looking at a cloud accounting software and you go for one of the 4 or 5 or 6 common ones, or the best ones in the market, you might want to consider, as a motor trader, to go for other bits of software which are industry specific, and you can produce the data that you need to do in terms of your revenues, costs, and that links into your chosen cloud accounting software. Because sometimes not all software would link into all the apps that are available in the market with regards to what your industry specific software would require you to do. So how many cars you've bought, how many cars you've sold, was it on a margin scheme, was it a VAT qualifying scheme car? And all of that stuff could be produced and saved in the industry specific software. As long as that links into your chosen cloud accounting software, you'd be fine. And that's why you should evaluate your needs, how many users you need, and does that software enable you to do that? If it's a 2-user software, it might not be a good idea because there's 5 of you working on it. And whether the features that are there, like the API with the industry specific software, is available. When implementing, do look at prioritizing security, data backups, as we discussed earlier, in terms of a risk. Yes, you've got the cloud accounting software, but sometimes some of these software let you have the ability, if it's an enterprise version software, to download and back up the data that you've had. Not that you should have the need to do that for a cloud accounting solution, but if you did have that desire to do that, then some accounting softwares do let you download the data and save them on your own servers as a backup for a time and a date stamp of what was done, and to keep that data secure on your own servers, on your own devices, on your own drives. So in short, in conclusion, Cloud accounting softwares offer immense benefits in terms of accessibility, in terms of efficiency, and in terms of collaboration throughout the business. It is essential that you're aware of the risks that are involved that you could come across when using these software, and see how you can mitigate those risks. Because as a business person, as a business owner, it is important for you to look at the whole cycle. And as long as you can mitigate the risk, you've got good control. And as long as the transition is smooth, I do believe that the future is in the cloud. I do believe that a lot of businesses are benefiting by transitioning from the traditional desktop accounting software to the cloud accounting software. Everybody, thank you for your time today, and I welcome any questions you may have for me now.
That was excellent, very informative, broke down every piece. There's one question while you were speaking, and the question was, can somebody get external insurance if they were to use cloud accounting software that perhaps didn't offer that kind of protection?
I think my answer would be not the answer that they're looking for. I think you need to look at alternative suppliers, because if the cloud accounting software is not providing that protection, maybe they're not the right software to go for.
Brilliant. Okay. The second question I have is from a gentleman in Japan, Mr. Moto, and his question is, if his clients are not European based, what kind of data issues can someone face? Because GDPR is, I believe, focused for European clients.
It's a very good question, and I mentioned GDPR in my presentation a couple of times. GDPR is very, very important to review, especially for European clients, because it's prevalent here. As a rule of thumb, I think it's good practice for data security to be put in place. And as long as you've got a solution where you've got something or a process or some sort of a system where your data is protected, I think it's important, because data security should be paramount. If somebody has your data, they can potentially have your business overnight. They can potentially be your competitor and know exactly how to outprice you in the marketplace. So data security is paramount, albeit whether it's a compliance requirement or not. I think we should consider being up there when it comes to data security.
Perfect. Now there is another question. I'm not sure if that's one you're comfortable with. The question is, what do you recommend? What's the best software that a small business owner should approach?
So, Azim, you're absolutely right. It's a question I am comfortable with. However, I think everybody has got their own choices. And I did say earlier on that it really depends on the type of business and what their specific needs are in that business. In our experience, we've dealt with the majority of the cloud accounting software, and we've decided as a firm, and this is no reflection on the other softwares not being the best in the market, but as a firm, Morgan Reach, we've strategically aligned ourselves with QuickBooks Online. We believe it's a robust piece of kit. It's a really good software. The developers, the management at QuickBooks listen to what the customers are saying to them in terms of what they need. They're listening and they're making the change in the software on a regular basis. And I'm sure other software companies are doing the same, but we ourselves have aligned ourselves to QuickBooks. We do believe they're a good piece of kit for small businesses to use. And the app stack that they've got on their app forum, it's absolutely brilliant. And that's what's all about nowadays, is to make sure you can collaborate with other bits of software, with other companies that provide you that little bit of a niche in terms of what you want for your business to grow. And as long as they link in seamlessly, you're not creating multiple copies of what you need to do. It's all in one place, or you can manage it from one place.
Perfect. And I think we should open the floor to other people and see if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask. Fahad, do you have any questions? Mr. Mark?
No, I don't have any question. I just wanted to say that it was really very valuable and comprehensive session. I think we need to organize more of these. That's my feedback is.
Yeah, I would make just a comment. First of all, Cameron, great job. Secondly, regarding security and privacy, one of the benefits of using these cloud providers is that they can devote a higher percentage of their business capital to appropriate methodologies for protecting data. So in many cases, the data is more secure in the cloud than it is in your own networks. And the other aspect of it is, from a privacy perspective, the law that applies is the law where the customer resides. So Cameron's got customers all over the place. If they're individuals and they're not in the UK, he's bound by the privacy rules where they're located. So these cloud providers that are working globally, they're prepared to provide that type of service with a whole lot less thought than you would need to go through to protect yourself.
Thank you, Mark. That was wonderful. And absolutely rightly so. As a small business, when you're looking at disaster recovery or you're looking at data security, and there is a lot more cyber attacks happening than we had last decade. And then, yes, a huge proportion of their costs could relate to that protection. And it's important for a small business to ensure the data is secure. Thank you so much, Mark. You're absolutely right.
We have a question from Dura Nayab. Dura Nayab, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much. I just want to know, when you talk about QuickBooks, I'm very much familiar with this software. But when it comes to any company when it comes to textile or pharmaceutical, do we have it's very good in terms of accounting and finance, but how about production and multiple warehousing and inventory management? Does that support it as well?
Dura, that's a fantastic question. If you remember, I was talking about industry-specific software. I always recommend that any customers or clients who've got a specific business, they should look at what pieces of kit are available in terms of other cloud software which are industry-specific. For in this case, you're talking about stock management. In this case, you're talking about how something is warehoused somewhere. We use bits of software for our customers, one being ConnectWise, and that links in directly to QuickBooks Online. ConnectWise actually helps one of our engineering businesses to make sure they're aware of exactly what stock they've got at one location, and they have several sites across the country which they have it. So I think what you should do is use the software for what it's good at, and you can easily do that. So ConnectWise is good for warehousing management, call taking, ticket management, and then when the data is created in terms of the financial side of things, which is more what QuickBooks or other cloud accounting softwares are built for robustly, then that data seamlessly gets imported into, I think, through an API into QuickBooks, which means that you've got all the information you need and there's no duplication and you've got the best efficiency.
Okay.
Any more for any more?
I think we have a few members online as well. Cephas, can you hear us? Oh, Cephas is not there. If there's any more questions, there is one more question.
Can you hear me,
Cephas,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Fine, are you? Great to hear a great presentation. And just to thank the presenter for a wonderful job done.
Thank you so much. Glad to have you.
We will be meeting Cephas in Milan, by the way. So we're all coming to Milan, and Cameron's going to be there, Mark's going to be there. And for more information on the Milan event, by the way, it's adamglobal.com/Milan. Obviously, the one and only Mr. Cephas will be there too. So it should be a very interesting meetup.
Looking forward. Great. Yes, thank you.
I leave the final words with you, Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, everybody, for being so patient with the presentation. I think it's important that we understand for ourselves, the small businesses, and for the customers that we serve as accountants, that it's the right solution is provided to them. There's been some fantastic questions leading up to the transactional side of things of what people should be looking at. And as long as we go into it with open eyes and make the right decision and have the ability to implement the cloud accounting, I think this could be the best service we can provide to stakeholders as small business owners and to our customers as accountants. Thank you so much for your time and your patience today. And I hope I've been of some use today. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
I just wanted to add that we are planning to organize more events, online events on different topics, covering different topics related to businesses. And the calendar of events is already there on our website, adamglobal.com. So if anyone wants to know what's coming up next, they need to visit it, right, Azim?
That's currently work in progress. Today's meeting was pushed back 2 or 3 times. However, we are reviewing that, and that will be reviewed. Yeah. Perfect. Guys,
Thank you,
so much.
everybody. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.